man, welcome back to the kitchen. As always, you got your boy Chris here. And on today's episode, what are we gonna make? Well, when I think back to my childhood, I think of mornings. And when I think of mornings, I think of coffee and I think of a pastry. Well, more like a bread that's sweet. So what am I referring to? I'm referring to Mallorca. So you have a nice, fresh pot of coffee going. I'm trying to set the mood here. And then you get this sweet bread that comes out of the oven, smelling phenomenal. Then while it's still a little warm, not crazy hot, but warm, you take a little bit of powdered sugar, sprinkle it on top. You got that fresh hot cup of coffee and you got this sweet bread. Nothing in the world compares. And then you can take that same bread, cut it, and throw some stuff in between it, which you're gonna see that as well. I'm gonna keep that for a surprise. But anyway, such a great childhood memory to have. And I wanted to bring that dish to you today. So sit back. Also, one more thing before that. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the page. And not only that, if this is your first time stopping in the kitchen, grab a stool, grab a chair, pull it up to the counter because we're gonna have some fun and we're gonna make some recipes together. And like I always say, fam, thanks for coming back to the kitchen and spending your time with me, learning these recipes and having a good time. So let's go ahead, let's get out of these and let's get to cooking. All right, fam. Now that we have our proper attire on, let's go ahead and jump into the recipe. So you're gonna have a 1/4 cup of warm milk, all right? Then you're gonna have a 1/4 cup of warm water. And you want it warm, you don't want it overly hot or any extremely hot because you will kill your yeast and it will not rise. So then what you're gonna want is a 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast. Throw it in there. Then we're gonna mix it all together until it's dissolved here. And then what we'll do, we'll set it to the side and we'll let it do its thing and move into the next step. All right, fam. So the next step, we got 3 ounces of unsalted butter here. Now you can use salted butter, that's perfectly fine, but I'm using unsalted because I'm gonna come back in later and put my own salt in. So what you're gonna need, you're gonna need a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar plus 1 tablespoon of sugar, all right? Let's go ahead and mix that all together. Get that good and combined. Then as you see to the right over here, I got 3 eggs, just the yolk, all right? So we got that good and combined here. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and drop our egg yolks in there and we're gonna get this well incorporated. As you can see right there, we're good and incorporated. All right, fam, don't be like me and have that mixture in a small bowl. I don't know what I was thinking. That's our eggs and sugar mixture because, you know, like I said, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, so take your yeast, water, and egg mix and milk mixture and pour that into there. All right, get all that in there. Now what we're gonna do, let's get that good and incorporated. After you get that good and incorporated, our next step is, all right, fam, don't be like me and spill your salt. Now this is 1 teaspoon of salt since we didn't use any because we used unsalted butter. So that goes into there as well. Now also, some people don't, but I'm going to, just a little bit of this vanilla, just to give it a hint of vanilla. Some people do it, some people don't. Just a tad bit, that's all. And then what we're gonna do, let's combine that up real quick. And then you can use, I like bread flour, but you can use all-purpose flour if that's all you have. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna combine that into here. And do this slowly and work it because it's gonna, you know, start getting clumpy. So you just want to work that as, you know, don't put all of it in there at the same time. That way you got, you know, the ability to work with it. And also, sometimes even after you do that, you know, it may still be a little wet. Just end up putting some more bread flour or a little bit more regular flour in there, whatever you chose to go with for this recipe, because you could use either or, like I said. So let's just get the rest of that in there and let's whisk that together. See, now we're starting to get a little bit of thickness here. That's what you're looking for. So what we're going to do, we're going to keep on combining this until it's all together. See how that formed right there? There you go. Now, we're just going to keep working this. Now, if you got a one of those little mixes, throw it in there. Make it easier. But me personally, I prefer to use my hand. So let's finish mixing this up and then move into the next step. So let's go ahead and just throw a little bit more of that down there, that bread flour. This is going to help. And now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and knead this. You see how it just comes right out of here? No problem. That's what you want. You don't want it to be stuck to anything. Next step, let's knead this thing. Let's get it all incorporated. Let's work it out. I like doing it by hand, but that's just me. Like I said, if you have one of those mixers, more power to you. Go ahead and do it. You know, ain't nothing wrong with it. Work smarter, not harder, right? Name of the game. So let's get some more of that right here on here. All right, fam. Work counter's clean again. We're gonna take that. We're gonna throw it in here for an hour. Put it in a warm area and we're gonna cover it. So, and let it rise for 1 hour. And all right, fam, so it's been an hour. Our dough has risen up. As you can see, that's what you want, a clear bottom there. So what we're gonna do now, let's take this out of here. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this and we're gonna cut this. All right? Then what we're gonna do, let's just take that like that. Let's cut that down, like so. And then what we'll do here, we're gonna cut this down into some thirds, if you wanna call it that. All right, so then let's move that over here, that one over there. Let's go right here, repeat the same process. All right, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take that, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna take it and we're gonna roll it out, okay? Until it gets super, super small and tiny. So just keep rolling it out, keep working it till it's about, I don't know, let's say 18 inches. Just eyeball whatever. See how it's getting worked out there? That's what we want to do. Just keep working it. And we're going to repeat that process for all of them. Then take that and start rolling it. Just like this here. All right, then take that just like that there. And remember, tuck that under just like that. And there you have it. Now, repeat the same process for all the other ones. All right, now after you form them, what we're gonna do now is take and cover them. And then keep them in that same warm spot for about an hour and let them double in size. And then when we come back, we'll be ready to dress these things up and get them in the oven. All right, now that we got them moved onto the parchment paper, you know, what we're gonna do now, a lot of people would take some butter, melted butter, and brush on top. But me personally, what I like to do is take some egg wash and put on top. Now again, there's another thing I meant to mention earlier when making these. You could actually take a rolling pin and roll that dough flat out. And then what you could do is take your fingers and use 2 of your fingers and measure it in between and get some cuts, and then take a pizza cutter and go straight down the line. That way you know how many distance apart each of them will be. Me personally, I just did it that way, the way I like to do it. So that's why I went my way, but I just wanted to reference that for you guys. So let's brush these things here with this. And once we do that, you want your oven to be preheating at 375 degrees, and these are gonna go in for 20 minutes. Well, actually 17 to 20 minutes. You know how your oven works, so keep an eye on them. And then they'll be ready, and pull them out, and then we'll go to the next step. So let's finish putting this on here, and then we'll be ready. All right, fam, so they came out. There they are. Now, what we're gonna do, they've cooled down a little bit. Thank you, Temu, for this fancy little thingamajig here. And watch this. Sprinkle that on there. Now, I did tell you I had a surprise for you, and we're about to bring that surprise to life in just a second. So, there those are. Now, let me pull out that surprise for you. All right, fam, and there that is right there. You take that Mallorca, then you take you some ham, you take you some eggs, take you some cheese, season it up, and throw it between this, and then you got to come back and hit it with a sprinkle of sugar, just like that. Now, let's cut that thing open, seeing what it's got going on. Let's take that out the way, and let's check that cross section. Man, hands down, one of the best breakfast sandwiches you can get. All right, fam. Mallorca wouldn't be complete without a cup of coffee. So, I just want to thank you guys again for hanging in the kitchen with me. It's because of you, fam, that the page grows, that the likes and the follows and the shares get out there, and without you guys, it doesn't exist. So again, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you try this recipe with your significant other, with your kids. I guarantee it'll be fun in the kitchen. I can see sugar just being everywhere, but it's a great learning experience for your kids to spread your culture, to spread this culture is basically what I'm trying to do. And again, I thank each and every one of you for every like, share, and follow. And like I always say, without you, the page doesn't grow. And one more other thing before we go. Another thing that I always say. Hug your loved ones and tell them you love them. Until the next time. Peace.